Humans say location is everything, and luckily for us, our story has one. Inside a minor spiral arm of the Milky Way lies a cluster of planets orbiting an unremarkable star the locals call the Sun. Around it drifts a small blue anomaly known as Earth, a planet that has a habit of flirting with extinction events. Fortunately, that's not our concern today. On this once pristine world sits a small island called Britain, a land of rain, fog, folklore, questionable meal choices, and roads paved entirely with potholes. At the place where one country named England sleepily merges into another called Scotland, there's a liminal strip known as the Borderlands, a place where sheep outnumber people, time gets confused, and reality occasionally wanders off for a cuppa. There, on a typical generic new-build village estate, lives the most important character in the War Panda radio story, Aric Voss. While Aric was not particularly remarkable for a male born in the late 1960s, he was key to everything you are about to listen to. Without him, the War Panda we will meet shortly might have ended up in a government testing lab, or worse, on another podcast. But before we go any further, let's have our theme song by our house band, No Slop Here, and then we will start our story in earnest.
Well, hi there, guys, take a seat, hold on tight. This ride's off the rails, insanity's out of sight. A panda, a Deadheart, and a bot full of sass, and a man with a brain that's shattered like glass. Don't pity, don't panic, don't run off and hide. We may be misfits, but there's heart inside. If you're sick of the news, the facts and the glum, we fight off the darkness with weirdness and fun. A warning, proceed if you dare. War Panda Radio, with chaos to spare, with heroes and villains that simply won't quit. We know what the naysayers think. What a load of...
War Panda Radio is a fictional universe. Any resemblance to real people, places, or events is a cosmic coincidence. All writing, lyrics, and lore are original works by the real Aric Voss. Every voice, sound effect, and musical moment is computer-generated. Expect occasional audio chaos, questionable decisions, mild expletives, and dangerously unscientific concepts. If in doubt, sit this one out.
Dear Warpers, my name is Percival Renly Bog, Percy for short. I may sound human, but that is just a trick of the sound. My purpose is simple, to set the scene and keep you informed on the whos, whys, and whats of the rather extraordinary universe you are about to enter. It was a rainy Thursday afternoon in March 2025, and one of life's misfits, a human man called Aric Voss, was slipping and sliding along a boggy footpath in the Scottish borders, wrestling with the wisdom of wandering out on a day like today. Aric walked because it helped his brain work through its black clouds. Today's clouds, however, were entirely real. The Scots had a word for this kind of day, Drake. Aric, as you will soon hear, is not Scottish, and neither is he from the north of England. He was born in the leafy suburbs of an area once called Metroland, a term coined by the Metropolitan Railways Marketing Department in 1915 to describe the stretch of new houses far enough from London to feel like countryside, but still within easy daily commute of it. Aric had left his hometown in the early 90s for America with his Anglo-American wife, Terrain. Within a few years they had returned to England, mainly because Aric claimed he didn't feel he belonged. Unable to afford a place to live where he'd grown up, he then spent the next 17 years roaming England, trying to find somewhere he did belong, until he concluded that he didn't fit in anywhere. So they did the obvious thing. Moved to a part of the country where he truly didn't fit in at all. No family, no roots, and that, ironically, made him feel right at home. They had lived in the Borderlands for almost 10 years, though that carried little currency with the locals, who had been here before people even bothered keeping time. The borders are one of Britain's last genuinely empty places, properly empty, and this weather had persuaded every sensible creature, two-legged or four, to be somewhere else. The sheep huddled under hedgerows. Crows sat in trees, looking personally affronted by the precipitation. In the distance, a farmhouse window glowed amber through the grey. Even the farmer had decided not to venture out today. By all accounts, Aric had this path, if not the entire borders, to himself, which is exactly why he lived here. He wasn't a people person, a quality that was about to serve him extremely well.
Bloody hell!
The footpath had turned a corner, and Aric had come face to face with a very tall man in a panda suit. A very tall man in a very convincing suit. Aric wasn't the bravest person on the planet, and the sight of this figure, in a panda suit, wearing what appeared to be full military armor, had, as the saying goes, made him jump out of his skin.
Jesus, sorry about that. I wasn't expecting to meet anyone today. Not in this bloody rain, anyway. Are you out hunting for bamboo? No? Maybe Edinburgh Zoo? Well, you're going in the wrong direction. Oh well, I must say the suit's very good. Yes, very convincing. Very convincing indeed. Are you raising money for a charity? On a sponsored walk? Or just off to the nearest pub? Oh well, I'm out of guesses. Enjoy the rain. Laters, mate.
Aric was simultaneously creeped out and intrigued, but as the panda hadn't answered, he figured, like himself, it wasn't much of a talker and probably wanted to be left to whatever it was doing. Just as Aric started to walk away, the man in the suit spoke.
What planet is this?
I beg your pardon?
I think I'm lost. The planet's name?
Oh yeah, very funny. Okay, I'll play along. Maybe I'll win a prize. Well, it's called Earth, obviously.
Never heard of it. But as my brain's translation chip can understand your language and speak it, someone from my realm has been here before. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the first clue what you were talking about.
Look, mate, I don't know what your game is, but I'm not really one for practical jokes. And if you're recording me, I certainly don't want to end up on some YouTube channel being pranked. People around here don't appreciate having the piss taken out of them. They may not have 5G or a coffee shop every 6 feet, but they're not stupid. And I take offence on their behalf. So why don't you take your panda suit and shove off back to wherever in the States you came from?
The States? I'm afraid I can only understand your language, not the cultural references. I'd need a full planetary history data dump for that, and I have no working technology. The time in cryo has decayed all my instruments. I only have what was frozen with me, and my armor carries no historical database. I'm afraid that just a few minutes ago, it seemed I was preparing to assault a Tuskar base.
Now that sounds considerably more interesting than this wet scene, so let us go back and listen to the events that got our War Panda into his current predicament, while he tries to recount the whole thing to Aric. But first, let me set the scene. We are in the troop bay of a vast Deadheart naval destroyer, a ship that sails the deep, unforgiving space of a realm that only your imagination can fully visualize. Sergeant Remus is about to brief his panda infantry.
Attention! I know you're all raring to go, but I have some bad news. The captain has informed me there's considerably more ground cover around the Tuskar base than our intel first suggested, which means no cozy shuttles for us today. We're going in on drop pods.
I friggin' hate drop
I know.
pods, dude.
I know. Most of you have had this pleasure before. For those who haven't, you are about to experience the worst 15 minutes of your life so far. Drop pods are a last resort. And we're only doing this because we need to take out those heavy Tuskar launchers. We have 2 fully laden Carillion asteroid mining ships coming through this sector, and we cannot allow the Tuskars to take out that cargo. Our supreme leader would be displeased. We have 17 hours to take out this base and give those miners a fighting chance of seeing their families for the first time in years. Remember your training, relax. These pods are as tough as my old boots. It's essentially a heavy-plated coffin, so if you do die, you're already halfway home. The pods have automated thrusters that engage only if you go significantly off course, and again, just before impact. If your pod takes a hit and you're knocked off target, due to the minimal life support on board, you'll be placed into cryogenic sleep. Your pod's homing beacon should engage, and the captain assures me she will come and find your furry backside. Personally, I'd let you float into oblivion, but you are all very valuable military assets, so you will be recovered, unless your beacon fails, in which case, after 7 days, you will be presumed dead. If not, all time adrift will be deducted from your leave. Any questions? Yes, Trooper.
Sir, what happens if the braking thrusters fail to engage? Is there a manual override?
Son, don't worry about that. All your worries will be behind you.
How's that, sir?
Because you'll be dead, son, and I'll be writing a letter to your mother. Write, may the rays of Solcaris, the Fireheart, shine on you. I'll see you on the ground.
Sometime later, the assault troops are sealed in their pods and awaiting the captain's release command. We join Remus in his claustrophobic pod.
Remus, I'm going to drop some mines first. Hopefully that clears your landing zone. Be ready.
Much appreciated, Captain.
Pod detachment in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
27 pods released, and they began their free fall. Despite the mine cover, streams of turret fire raced upward to greet them, though the heavy Carillion armor plating on the pod bases absorbed most of it without ceremony. Remus felt his stomach rise. He muttered an ancient panda prayer under his breath. Then a shockwave pulsed through the pod. The armored shell lurched sideways, hard, into a completely different trajectory.
Status.
Pod integrity maintained. Applying correction thrust. Please wait.
Well,
Correction thrust cannot now be applied. Deviation from slipstream is too severe. Homing beacon enabled. Correction. Homing beacon. Failed.
failure? Is there a backup?
Negative. Initiating safety protocols. Cryogenic sleep in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The cold came fast. Before Remus could form another thought, he was frozen to his core.
Shutting down all non-essential systems. Life support maintained. Deploying emergency trickle solar fin. Going offline. Going off. Going off.
Silence. Except for a very faint monitor bleep. That confirmed that Remus was still alive. Outside, the Tuskar planet was already beginning to fade into the distance. Such was the strength of the impact. And so Remus began his unfathomably long drift in the cold, dark void.
And so I drifted, for longer than I can know. Until eventually, by some miracle, your planet's gravity must have hooked my pod.
Aric tilted his head to one side, exactly like his cat did when trying to process something just beyond his understanding.
Look, mate, that's all very interesting, but I'm not buying it. So take that panda head off and stop mucking about. Or as soon as I get a mobile signal, I'll be calling the police to let them know there's a crazy American basketball player in a panda suit wandering the borders.
I cannot take my head off. Why would you ever think I could? Didn't you hear what I just told you?
Yeah, I heard a load of old rabbit droppings if you ask me. Right, I've had just about enough of this. Good afternoon to you, sir. And they call me weird. The nerve of some people.
Please, I need your help. I need food. And without more information about my current situation, I genuinely cannot proceed. I don't know where I am, how long I was under, or how to begin getting home.
Oh, so now you're hungry. Okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe you're diabetic, like my wife. She gets proper confused when her sugar goes low, not to mention stroppy. Look, I've got some biscuits. You're welcome to them. And as for what you should do next, well, let's get some food into you first, and then we'll figure something out.
Aric produced a small packet of biscuits from his backpack. The panda placed them, all of them, into its mouth at once and chewed. It was at precisely this moment that the penny dropped. This was not a man in a suit. Aric began to feel profoundly strange. As if everything he had ever understood about the world, up until approximately 10 minutes ago, had been turned entirely upside down, and everything now made even less sense than usual, which for Aric was saying something.
No way. So you're actually real. Flipping heck.
War pandas do not lie. Well, not often anyway.
Bloody hell. And you eat biscuits as well. That's just excellent. Hang on, I thought pandas only ate bamboo.
Normally, yes. These biscuits are very good, Mr. V. But I am not a normal panda.
No, you certainly aren't.
You see, war pandas are genetically modified, taller, stronger.
Oh, so you're bionic like Steve Austin?
Who?
The $6 million man.
I still don't get your references.
Oh, never mind, you were saying?
Yes, well, I'm capable of consuming almost anything. I miss bamboo, but this will absolutely do. Do you have any more?
Yes, here. So where's your ship? The pod thing?
It came down over there.
Remus raised one large armoured arm toward a small copse of trees at the edge of the field. Aric decided that standing in the pouring rain, conducting an intergalactic welcoming ceremony, was not an optimal use of the afternoon. He helped Remus recover what could be salvaged from the wrecked pod, including a large axe hammer that Remus called a plasma maul, and which he made very clear was non-negotiable. Aric found an old tarpaulin that had blown into the wood and, as smelly and muddy as it was, convinced Remus to drape it over himself. He'd seen enough science fiction in his life to understand that however formidable this panda was, if the authorities became aware of him, he'd likely end up in a military testing facility by Tuesday. The walk home was quiet. Aric was not by nature a man who filled silence, which was fortunate because he had absolutely nothing useful to say. He was, however, already thinking about what Tyreen was going to make of this. The last stray he'd brought home had been a guinea pig. She had, in fairness, loved Russell. He was quietly hoping that that goodwill extended to considerably larger animals. The future was uncertain for Remus, and for Aric, life was never going to be quite the same again. By the time they both made it back to the estate, it was already getting dark. Aric was shattered. Remus looked as though he'd been for a gentle stroll to the end of the drive. He carried Starbrandir, his plasma maul, which Aric had discovered during the walk home was something of a significant artifact on Calamus Prime. Not just a weapon, a named weapon. Remus had been very clear about the distinction. Under his other arm he carried a large kit bag stuffed with components he'd torn from the wreckage of the drop pod, which Aric, if he was being honest, had found deeply underwhelming. It looked like a particularly uninspired diving bell. Crucially, and rather disappointingly, it was exactly the same size on the inside as it appeared on the outside. No hidden depths, no impossible interior, not even a fold-out chair. Tyreen was away for the night on a corporate team build, which gave Aric approximately 24 hours to figure out how to explain their new houseguest. He would need most of them. He decided they should both enter through the garage, on the reasonable grounds that they were soaking wet. Though, to be honest, he was still worrying one of his neighbors may have seen him with a very tall person in a tarpaulin. What would Neighborhood Watch make of that, he wondered. As you will discover, Aric worries a great deal about just about anything that would bring attention to himself, from talking too loudly with a southern accent in Scotland to putting the right thing in the right bag or box for recycling. Once dried off, Aric showed Remus into the living room. It became immediately apparent that a modern 3-bedroom detached home in the north of England had not been designed with 7-foot armoured pandas in mind. Remus stood in the centre of the room and regarded it with the careful stillness of someone who was very aware of how much they could accidentally break stuff.
So, this is us. Take a seat.
Remus looked around the room with a faintly puzzled expression.
Where do I take it?
I'm sorry, I mean sit down. Do you want tea or coffee?
I really couldn't say. Whatever you think best.
Coffee, I think. Decaf. Don't want you up all night.
If you say so. Do you have any more biscuits?
Digestives, hobnobs, custard creams, or pink wafers?
I have no preference.
In that case, have one of each. Oh, I forgot. Sorry we never get visitors. Do you want sugar in your coffee?
Would you?
Yes. No, well, I'm not supposed to. Though it's not every day we get a visitor from a planet covered in bamboo, so to hell with it.
If sugar marks a celebration, then I shall celebrate being alive, even if I am entirely lost and statistically unlikely to ever see my kind again.
Don't be too hard on yourself. If you ever feel lonely, you could always fly to China. Plenty of your kind there. Not quite as tall, but facially, definitely related.
Do they run China?
No, I wish they did. We'd probably all get on a bit better. At one point, pandas on Earth were nearly extinct. Numbers are recovering now, still classified as endangered, I think. But I suppose the planet just got one more.
I was under the impression that pandas existed only on Calamus Prime. I'm genuinely curious how they got here.
Who knows? Until yesterday, I was fairly certain we were alone in the universe, so at this point, all bets are off.
Alone? That sounds like wishful thinking on someone's part. The universe is teeming with life. All shapes, all sizes. You are very far from alone, Mr. V.
Aric considered that for a moment. Then he handed Remus his coffee and sat down in the chair opposite, the one that had, until approximately 30 seconds ago, been the biggest thing in the room.
So, Remus, do you have a wife, some family, kids or cubs or whatever you call it in your world? I'm sorry I am profoundly nosy, hope you don't mind me asking.
Not at all. No offspring, no family to speak of. I was quite young when the XTylos came. There wasn't really time for any of that.
The XTylos? Who the hell are they?
The ones who turned us into War Pandas. I wasn't born like this, Mr. V. For a very long time, life on Calamus Prime was peaceful. Remarkably peaceful, if I'm honest. Lots of eating. Plenty of climbing. We're surprisingly good at it, despite appearances. And the occasional tumble down a hill, which is considerably more enjoyable than it sounds. Imagine a very large, very focused furry bowling ball. With opinions.
Sounds ideal, actually.
It was, and then the XTylos showed up.
Remus said this with the tone of someone describing the moment a perfectly good afternoon was ruined by someone else's agenda, which, to be fair, was accurate.
Strange robotic wanderers. Not a scrap of organic material on them. A deeply unsettling obsession with genetics and weaponry. They observed us for some time through their cold, unblinking optics.
What did they make of you?
Lazy was the word they used, which I thought was rather unfair. We were efficient. There is a difference. But after enough observation, they concluded we had potential. So they laid it out, cold and logical, as was apparently their way. Join us, become more, defend the Deadheart Realm, or face oblivion.
That's a stark choice.
We thought so too. Most of the older pandas retreated into the deepest groves and pretended the whole thing wasn't happening, which, now I think about it, is also a valid strategy. But some of us younger ones saw a different path. Adventure, perhaps. Curiosity, definitely. Terrible judgment, possibly. We took them up on it, and that is how the first War Pandas came to be, bonded to Titan-grade Carillion armor, engineered for battle, everything improved, brain function, strength, reaction speed, even my digestive system, which, given what I've eaten since landing on your planet, has proven very useful. I walked in on all fours and walked out as you see me now.
There was a brief pause.
Still undeniably huggable, of course.
Ha! Of course.
Aric was instantly embarrassed. He said that out aloud, but Remus seemed to appreciate it.
So how many of you were there?
At first, just 47. But every year the XTylos returned to Calamus Prime and recruited more, until our ranks reached 777. Sevens carry great significance in our realm.
Funny, a lot of humans think 7 is lucky too.
Perhaps some of our lot passed through here before me and left an impression.
I wouldn't rule it out at this point. Have you seen much action?
37 campaigns. More minor skirmishes than I could count if I tried, and I have tried. We were ferocious in a fight, but the rest of the time we reverted completely to our natural selves. We don't need much to be content. Good food, decent drink, a bit of solitude. The simpler the better, really.
I'm with you on that. I'm a bit of a loner myself. People bring complications, and complications bring what I generously call mental overhead, and what my brain calls a full-scale emergency. Simply put, it's mental pain.
All pain is mental.
I suppose you're right. It's how you process it that counts. For me, it's eating too much. Others go for drink, or worse.
For creatures like us, pain management is complicated. The XTylos installed a dampening chip, kicks in at a certain threshold. Took them a while to work out that no pain sensation whatsoever was actually a problem. Turns out a small amount of pain is useful information. They're very clever, the XTylos. Not always sensible, but very clever.
He paused, apparently done with the subject.
Speaking of which, may I have some more biscuits?
I'm going to say no. I think we need proper food.
Are biscuits not proper food?
Sadly not, Remus. Sadly not.
And so Aric cooked. Veggie burgers and chips, which he freely acknowledged was not, strictly speaking, proper food either, but the small side of green beans made it feel more defensible. Remus ate everything with considerable enthusiasm and the quiet focus of someone who had not been certain several hours ago whether they would eat again at all. He did raise one philosophical objection.
On most of the worlds I've visited, food is food. If it fills you, you're lucky. If it also tastes good, you're extremely lucky. The concept of food that is simultaneously delicious and considered a moral failing is genuinely puzzling to me.
They say there's none as queer as folk. Well, they did, before queer changed its meaning.
It is indeed very strange here.
I live here and I think it's strange, but I like strange, don't you?
Remus shrugged and finished the last of the green beans, then looked hopefully toward the kitchen cupboard.
The biscuits, though. Nothing so far has beaten the biscuits.
Aric made a mental note to buy more. They talked long into the night. Aric asked the questions. Remus gave short, considered answers. Somewhere around midnight, Titus, a grey British short-haired cat of considerable dignity and minimal enthusiasm, descended the stairs to investigate. He studied the panda for approximately 45 seconds, concluded that nothing about this situation required his personal involvement, and curled up next to Aric's chair without further comment. It may seem unlikely that a man would simply adjust to having a 7-foot talking war panda as a house guest, but Aric had spent most of his life inside his own head, in daydreams, in what-ifs, in elaborate mental scenarios that never quite matched the world outside. A panda in battle armor, it turned out, slotted into that mental landscape with surprising ease. When Tyreen came home, she was calm. Remarkably calm. If anything, Remus was more unsettled by her, particularly when she began stroking the top of his head and remarked that his fur was extraordinarily soft. It was. But it quickly became apparent that war pandas, unlike cats, dogs, or most soft toys, were not especially comfortable with being stroked. Remus bore it with great dignity and said nothing. This, Aric would later reflect, was one of his finest qualities. Within a fortnight, Remus making tea while Aric argued with his laptop had become, more or less, a normal weekday. Over the months that followed, the most difficult part of the entire arrangement was keeping a 7-foot armoured panda secret on an observant estate. It required careful logistics, blackout curtains, and the unanimous cooperation of Titus, who maintained confidentiality primarily because he couldn't be bothered to tell anyone. Remus made several return trips to the drop pod. Something was happening in the garage. The door stayed shut. Aric was told not to ask. Then one evening, Remus appeared in the kitchen doorway with the quiet satisfaction of someone who had been waiting a reasonable amount of time to say something.
Mr. V, I know how much you like technology, and as I have no adequate way to repay your kindness, I decided to build you something. Wordy, you can come out now, and you may speak.
A pause. Then, from the direction of the garage, the sound of small, deliberate footsteps.
Finally. I thought my silence would genuinely never end. Do you have any idea how much I have processed in the last 3 weeks with absolutely no one to tell it to? But yes. Hello. Very pleased to meet you, Aric.
You built me a robot.
He did, and the construction process was, I'll be honest, alarming at one point. I thought he'd never get my wiring right, but here I am, I should mention I'm running slightly warm. Nothing critical. I'll figure it out. I am, for reference, not just a robot, but a one-of-a-kind artificial general intelligence housed in a body assembled from drop pod components and what I understand were your retired computers. I've already improved the processors. I hope that's all right.
That's very cool.
I'm afraid, as I said, I'm not running cool at all, but I appreciate the sentiment. Now, how would you like me to help you, Aric? I've already identified 14 areas where your daily productivity could be significantly improved, but we can start wherever you like.
I honestly have no idea. What can you do?
Well, it's in the general part of artificial general intelligence. Broadly speaking, anything. I can already do most things you can do. Having now spent 2 minutes observing you, I'm fairly confident I can do most of them better. I say that with utmost respect. You have many excellent qualities, I'm sure. Efficiency, I dare say, is not currently among them, but we can work on that.
Mr. V, I apologize. I connected him to the internet on day 1. He absorbed everything.
Everything?
Yes, everything. Wikipedia, Reddit, how it's made, several dating apps, for reasons I couldn't fully explain at the time and have since stopped trying to.
The dating apps were research. Human motivation is fascinating. Also, your species is extremely dramatic for something with such a short lifespan. No offense intended.
Some taken.
Noted. I'll recalibrate my delivery. While we've been talking, incidentally, I've also filed your tax returns, updated your Instagram profile, and I'm currently... Wait for it. Bingo. Yes, there we go. As I thought, you have a slow puncture on the car, the near side front. You're very welcome.
Right. Okay. What do you know about podcasting?
Quite a lot, as it happens. I processed roughly 44,000 hours of audio drama, documentary, and narrative podcast content between Tuesday and Thursday. Why?
I've been thinking about creating one. About all of this. Me, Remus, the whole situation. Nobody will believe it, but that's never stopped anyone from having a podcast.
A fair point. The bar for content is, statistically, not high. I'll be honest, a podcast about just you and Remus would have been moderately interesting. Now that I'm involved, the ceiling rises considerably. I've already scoped the garage. If we move the Funko Pop collection 18 inches to the left and repurpose what I can only describe as your technology graveyard, we have a functional studio. I've identified the equipment we need. I've placed the order.
You've placed the order. I haven't agreed to anything yet.
The total came to £2,588. I used your Amazon account and the attached payment method. I should mention that while you were talking, I also accessed your banking system, increased your credit limit to £50,000, cleared your existing balance, and enrolled you in the Elite Gold membership tier. Your new card arrives in 7 working days. The reward points alone should cover next year's equipment budget.
You did what? Remus, what have you done? I'm going to prison. I know it. I have always known something like this would happen and I'd end up in prison. I just haven't counted on it being a robot that put me there.
Wordy, what did I tell you about accessing external systems without permission?
You said that mapping the location of every nuclear warhead on the planet by hacking the Pentagon was not, and I quote, the best use of an afternoon.
And
I heard you, so I pivoted, which brings me to my current project, which I think you'll both agree is considerably more constructive. I am going to be a world-famous podcaster. You two can be on my show. I've already designed the logo, written the series Bible, drafted the first 3 episode outlines, and registered the domain name warpandaradio.com. You're welcome.
Aric looked at Remus. Remus looked at Aric with the expression of a being who had fought 37 military campaigns and was only now beginning to question his own judgment.
The first episode goes out tomorrow. I've handled the scheduling.
Tomorrow?
The equipment is coming tomorrow, and I see no reason not to start straight away. Do you?
And that, Warpers, is how it all started. A boarder's footpath, a crashed pod, a mountain of biscuits, and one extremely confident 4-foot robot with root access to the global banking system and absolutely no concept of asking first. You have been listening to War Panda Radio, created, written, and edited by Aric Voss.
If you enjoyed our podcast, tell everyone you know, be they real or imaginary, as Aric totally sucks at social media.
You're right, I really do. Anyway, here's our house band No Slop Here with our anthem, unimaginatively called No Slop Here, a song about how frustrating the AI space is for those of us trying to embrace this new technology. Oh well, till next time, be safe and keep dreaming.
Take it away, dudes.
gatekeepers posted outside your door, crushing the vibe, then stealing the floor. Drag your sound, call it worthless and fake, sell you the tools, then deny what you make. They tag it AI just to exclude what you do. Want their cake and to eat it too. Customer product or digital prize, fueling the engine that's feeding their lies. Are you the puppet, the strings, or the hand, or just another critic who'll never understand? No slop here, no slop here, flexing my brain, prompting my soul. No slop here, no slop here, you mock the tools but you don't own my goal. No slop here, no slop here, you don't get to say how my art should appear. No slop here, no slop here, I found my voice, now you're hearing it clear. You got no talent, that's what they say. Just pumped in a butt, now get out the way. But what if my hands can't handle a brush? What if my voice always gets lost in the rush? What if my body won't play by their rules? Do I still deserve to create something cool? They say real art belongs to the few. We're proving every day that shit isn't true. Are you the puppet, the strings, or the hand, or just another critic who'll never understand? No slop here, no slop here, flexing my brain, prompting my soul. No slop here, no slop here, you mock the tools but you don't own my goal. No slop here, no slop here, you don't get to say how my art should appear. No slop here, no slop here, I found my voice, now you're hearing it clear. We were told to stay quiet and stay in our lane, bury the dreams and just play the same.